Yo, what's up, Ghost here? Today I'm bringing you guys another comparison video between the Type-100 and Owen gun, and I wanted to make this comparison because I always felt like the Type-100 was a really good SMG that just never really got talked about. Like, for whatever reason, people just didn't really give it any attention, and it was just excluded from any type of meta talk just throughout this whole time that the integration has been going on. And with the Owen gun, becoming meta and all these things, I wanted to see if the Type-100 was capable of competing with guns such as the Owen gun, or if it was just not talked about for a specific reason, which we'll talk about throughout this whole video. But before we do get into the video, I want to say, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 2,000. We're about 90 subs away, so every sub does greatly help, and it's always really appreciated. Also, man, if you guys could do me a favor, follow me over at my Twitch channel at @OwenGhost_. I try to stream as often as I can. I would say typically every other day is when I stream, and obviously that's when I'm actually gathering all my clips and whatnot for my videos. So if you guys want to go hang out, check it out. But man, with that being said, let's get into the comparison. And here are the recoil pattern for the Type-100, and as you guys can see, man, it literally stops at a certain point. Like, it does go up, but then at a certain point, it just kind of like hits a cap where it can't go further anymore. And theoretically, that means this gun literally at some point has no recoil, and it's essentially really easy to control. But then again, this Type-100 at range isn't necessarily like too crazy. I would definitely say it's capable. It's just not as crazy as the Owen gun, in my opinion, or like an MP40 from before its nerf. But I do feel like if you really needed to go range, it could definitely get the job done. Like, it's not some gun that is completely just trash at range. It definitely can get the job done, especially if you I feel like put on like a slate reflector or just build it a different way. Cause I feel like I have an outdated class setup. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like if I built this a different way, this gun would be 10 times better at just every aspect of the game. Cause so far, like, I'm gonna be honest, when I use this gun, it's actually really solid. But I won't lie, finding a good class setup for it was definitely challenging at first. When I started using this gun, it took me like so many different class setups to finally get the one that made it seem good, because all the other ones just was really tough. So I won't lie, like, when it comes to, actually this goes for a lot of guns, even the Owen gun, if you can't build the gun properly, bro, you're not gonna get success with it. And it's truly like crazy, because I feel like in other games you kind of can get away with building it almost anyway and it'd still be really good. Like in this game, or Vanguard weapons, like, it just doesn't really seem that way, because I feel like if you put on one wrong attachment, it's over, bro. Like, it might have too much recoil, it might aim in too slow, it might move slow, it might have no damage or something. Like, it's just one little attachment can mess up your whole class setup. And that's kind of how it was for me with the Type-100. Like, if I was trying to use it, either it didn't kill fast enough, or it was just too slow ADS, and it was just like, bro, I need to find a class setup. And I finally got it, and from then I was just like, yo, this is the class setup. But there may be a better one out there right now, because with the update that came out season 2, I'm pretty sure this gun did receive some sort of buff. So if you guys actually have an update class setup for, if you are a regular Type-100 user, please let me know, because I'm trying to really understand how good this weapon is. Because again, like I said, I really do feel like I have an outdated class setup, and I definitely don't feel like I have a class setup that fully brings out how good the Type-100 is. Because I think the Type-100 is pretty solid. You know what I'm saying? And that's definitely a capable SMG, especially when you guys hear the stats later on. Like, I feel like you guys won't understand where I'm coming from, because some of you guys may have no idea what I'm talking about, and may have never used the Type-100 before, or have very little experience with it, and so you kind of just like don't really understand how good or bad the gun is. And so hopefully this second segment will allow for you guys to understand why I think the gun should be considered a little bit more in medic talks. But yeah, man, with that being said, let's get into the Owen gun and sets. And here we have the recoil pattern for the Owen gun, and as you guys can see, the recoil pattern actually goes up, unlike the Type-100. This is like one of the rare times that the recoil patterns aren't similar at all. And the Owen gun, theoretically, by that recoil pattern, should have a lot of recoil, or a lot more recoil, but I mean, it's really not the case. At range, this gun is, like I said in my last video, to me, the best SMG Vanguard wise. At range, I would say Type-100 is definitely like capable, but I don't even think I consider number 2. But the Owen gun definitely, like, for me, is a clear-cut number 1 when it comes to ranged SMGs. But that's just me. You guys might be disagreeing with me on that, and that's completely fine. You're entitled to your opinion, obviously. But yeah, man, this Owen gun, I think, undoubtedly is probably the best SMG at the moment. This comparison wasn't really to argue whether the Type-100 or the Owen gun is better, because I feel like we all know the answer to that. It was more so to see if the Type-100 is capable of competing with guns such as the Owen gun, even Well gun, or even MP40 for the people that are still rocking that. But anyways, man, for the first stats that we're going to talk about, it's the fire rate. And for the Owen gun, we have a 500 RPM, which again is actually pretty crazy for an SMG to have such a slow fire rate. And then for the Type-100, we have a 750 RPM. So clearly there, a huge advantage in fire rate for the Type-100. And at close range, the Type-100 would actually put up more of a fight than you think, just because of that fire rate. It's kind of like the automaton in the AR just whole situation, where the automaton stats wise or damage wise isn't really that like crazy, but the fire rate just makes it be crazy. That's like just the whole theme, like with a lot of these high fire rate weapons, like they may never have the damage, and to be honest, I think the damage that it has is actually like pretty solid considering the fire rate that it, you know, has, because again, the Type-100 or the automaton in the AR category, like that gun damage wise is pretty low for how good it is and for how it's considered the best or one of the best ARs in the game. But the fire rate, man, like the fire rate just would completely makes that gun undeniable. Whereas like the Type-100 has a pretty solid fire rate and then actually has a solid damage to then back it up, which makes it again like a serious case for it being a really good SMG. And speaking of that damage, for 0 to 17 meters for the Owen gun, we have 63 damage to the head, 46 damage to the neck and chest, 42 to the stomach, and then 39 to the extremities. Again, bro, like the Owen gun probably having one of the more crazier damage stats for SMGs that we've seen in a minute. But you know, it just has it for whatever reason. And for 0 to 14 meters for the Type-100, we have 44 damage to the head, 39 to the neck, 30 to the chest and stomach, and then 28 to the extremities. Again, pretty solid damage stats. Not obviously stronger than Owen gun, but with the fire rate that it has, and even faster fire rate than the Well gun, like it's not that bad considering the circumstances. I really feel like if it's 750 RPM, it would be a little bit weaker than this, and you know that would definitely hinder that conversation a little bit. But with it having solid damages like this, you know, I feel like that kind of just helps my case. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, 17 to 22 meters for the Owen gun, 51 damage to the head, 38 to the neck and chest, 34 to the stomach, and then 32 to the extremities. Again, pretty solid damages right there out of the Owen gun. That's literally that's actually stronger than the close range stats for the Type-100. Which is kind of crazy to think about. And then for the Type-100, for the 14 to 18 meters ranges, we have 35 damage to the neck, 31 to the 35 damage to the head, 31 to the neck, 24 to the chest and stomach, and then 22 to the extremities. Damage up there, obviously, as you guys hear, gets starting kind of crazy. It gets even a little bit crazier once we move on to the longer ranges, because for the 22 meters and above for the Owen gun, we have 35 damage to the head, 26 to the neck and chest, 23 to the stomach, and then 21 to the extremities. For 18 meters and above for Type-100, we have 28 damage to the head, 25 to the neck, 19 to the chest and stomach, and then 18 to the extremities. So the Type-100 definitely starts falling off in damage over range, whereas like the Owen gun obviously does too, but like it just doesn't seem as much because it starts off with such high damage that once it starts falling off, like, you know, it's not too crazy. Type-100 though starts at like a moderate damage value, and then it just gradually decreases, and it's just kind of tough. Yeah, it's kind of tough. But 750 RPM, that's the saving grace for it, just like how it is for a lot of these high fire rate, low damage weapons. Or I wouldn't even say low damage, because to be honest, like Type-100, I wouldn't even say that's low damage. Like that's really close to Well gun stats, and people love the Well gun, and it has a faster fire rate than the Well gun. So like, I mean, theoretically, like, yo, this gun is in more competition to the number 2 gun in the game. Where I feel like the Owen gun, it being like such a high standard that a lot of SMGs gotta reach it, and even the Well gun, in my opinion, doesn't reach the standard of the Owen gun. So, and I think that's like the second clear-cut SMG in the game. Whereas, what's it called? The Type-100 is a gun that, to me, is very similar to the Well gun, almost even better than the Well gun, and it doesn't even get talked about, not even considered for a top 2, top 3 SMG. And a lot of you guys may consider it, and to be honest, quite frankly, like out of all the Vanguard SMGs, it could be the 3rd best SMG in the game. Granted, the MP40 still exists, and some people might not want to put this over the MP40 or Wellgun, but you know, I feel like it should definitely get a consideration, considering all things that I've talked about. I mean, hopefully, if you guys have not used the Type-100, maybe you can put it on, level it up if you haven't already, and use it, and then come back to me, tell me your experiences, or if you have, you know, please let me know in the comment section down below. But in conclusion, bro, I think that the Type-100 has more than enough to be able to compete with the top SMGs in the game. Definitely an SMG to not write off, and you know, if you haven't given it a shot yet, do so. But man, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.